Hey guys, let's talk about the best vehicle in Battlefield 3. You know how you start in those matches with vehicles where the helicopter's on the match and everybody's in a mad scramble. I gotta get to the chopper, get to the chopper. That's, what the chopper did, you'll see everybody just runs off and there'll be 3 tanks sitting behind. Epic fail, if there ever's been one with that. It's time to talk about the best vehicle in Battlefield 3. That is the tank. Whether it be the T-90 or the M1 Abrams, this is, hands down, the best game-changing asset in the game. And, personally, I hate them. The reason I hate them is because they're impossible to counter. You can run an engineer class, you can run a support class, and that's really all you got. Granted, you can take them out with jets, you can take them out with helicopters, but jets and helicopters got they got their hands full as it is. And I've said before in the past that the gunner seat is probably the tip of the spear in the game, with it being the most effective position in the game where you can really change the tide of the game. And that's true, however, the chopper can be dealt with very easily. But for one, it can be dealt with by the tank. You get somebody in the CITB station of the tank, lock onto the chopper, you're dead with a guided shell. One shot from a guided shell, you're done. There's nothing you can do. You can put your flares out all day long. You're not going to survive a one-hit kill from a tank. Jets too. I mean, really, I'm not concerned about jets from a tank's perspective. Yeah, they're kind of a nuisance, but you're not going to take me out in one strafe unless you're incredibly good and you're a little bit lucky on top of it. If you get me from behind, you unload your chain gun, yeah, you might get me. But all in all, the tank is the most underrated underrated vehicle in this game. And I think what it boils down to is a lack of patience is really what it is. Most people want to get instantly into the action, so they'll just hop in a helicopter and go about their business. They don't want to, drive the tank from the remote deployment all the way, into the encounter. They don't want to deal with the hassle of having to, get out, repair it. I think they just want to get into the action. I'm guilty of that myself. I like to stay away from tanks. It's just not my method of gameplay. I'm successful in them, but I'm not godlike. I've seen some guys go, 30-0 in a match, and I'll make it like my whole mission to destroy a tank, and I can't do it because of situations like this. I don't know who this guy is that's playing with me, but I sent him a friend request because he just was the reason I was successful in this match. I went flawless on this match. I went 24-0, destroyed the team's infantry, destroyed the team's armor, all because this guy kept popping out and repairing me. You have to have people willing to do this. This is what this game's about, teamwork, and this is how we win this game. Is it as fun as running around, gunning around people? Probably not. I mean, who wants to bail out of a tank all the time and repair it? Even though you're getting points, but again, it's that contribution you make to kind of sacrificing your stats in order to meet the needs of the game, and that's why Call of Duty guys really can't understand this game some days, because they're like, well, I'm here to have fun, and I mean, yeah, that's kind of what we're here for too, but it is fun to win, is it not? And I'm kind of getting off topic here. Mainly what I want to talk about here is strategy too. Again, I'm not an expert on the tank, and the loadout I have here is proximity scan, thermal optics, and the guided shell. Now, I'm going to argue that I think zoom optics would be better in this match as opposed to thermal optics, because that would allow me to kind of counter some of the longer range engagements I have, taking on the enemy tank and LAV at this range during their spawn. Situations like this, I would have definitely had an edge if I could zoom in here and take on these vehicles. I don't know if you noticed what I just did there. I just twisted the bottom rotation of my tank to face the enemy vehicles. That allows me to have the max amount of armor between me and their projectiles, and that'll increase my survivability. So by directly facing these vehicles, I can take them both on at the same time. Granted, these guys really aren't the best players from what I can see here. There's really no reason why I should be surviving here. I mean, what also I'll say too is when I play in clan matches, our number one concern when we're playing advanced players, I mean, we're talking the best players in the world, guys. Our number one concern is always, where is the tank? Where are the tanks? Who's dealing with the tank? Who's the engineer? Who's the support class? How are we going to get around that tank? Where's the tank at? Because this is why. Tanks single-handedly change the balance of the entire battle. And this is a common mistake I see people make right here. What was that guy doing? He bailed out of his tank and he decided to start repairing it in the middle of nowhere? That's a bad idea, because now his tank is vulnerable to us seizing it. Right now, I didn't want to destroy that right off the bat. I was hoping somebody would jump in there. But the number one mistake I see people make is bailing out of their tanks at the most inopportune times. Now, don't get me wrong, when you're surrounded by 3 guys and there's a good chance, that one of them's putting C4 on you, and you better get the hell out of there. But there's a lot of times, too, where I can kind of fake out a guy in a tank by just running up to his tank, acting like I'm going to put C4 on it, and they fall for that bait. I don't know how many times. I mean, countless times I've seen that happen. So people are way too apt to bail out of their tank once they're in it, too. You'll see me later in this match, I'm down to like 8% health in this tank. This isn't the Costa Concordia, where you just bail out the first sign of trouble and say, hell with everybody, every man for himself. No, you go down with the ship, in situations where you don't want to allow your tank to fall into enemy hands. I see that a lot on maps like North Shore Canal, where, only one side, the Russian side, is the only players that really have tanks. I'll just walk across the battlefield and I'll find somebody just a vacant tank out in the middle of nowhere. Huge mistake, epic mistake, because once I seize your tank, that gives me a huge advantage, and it allows my team to use their assets in conjunction with the seized tank. Now we can just run over you all day long. Right here I'm using the guided shell that allows me to basically shoot 2 shells. The guided shells will allow my shell to arc up and hit the enemy tank from above, so it increases the damage. It's usually a one-shot hit disable. So I've had footage out about the CITV station on the tank and how effective that is. But I had another match after this match. It was several matches later. It was a different lobby with a completely different group of people. But I went 24-0 again on the map. It was on North Shore Canals, and I was just destroying enemy helicopters all day long. Again, I was on Rampage, and it's just, it's like if nobody deals with the tank, and I'm guilty of this too, just like anybody. A tank to me is just, you put it out of sight, you want to put it out of mind, you just want to forget about it. You want to run whatever class you're running, whether it be assault or recon, and you just want to run and hide and just let somebody else deal with the problem. Well, if that's the mentality you're going to have in this game, allowing other people to deal with the most significant problem in the game, you're going to lose, and you better get used to losing real quick, because that's what's going to happen. Here's another classic mistake I see. An LAV is an anti-personnel vehicle. It is not an anti-armor vehicle. Why is this guy, and I see this all the time, going head-to-head against me? This could take a couple dozen shots from his little, pea shooter cannon that he's got there against my 80mm cannon shell. He's not going to survive, but I see it happen all the time. They just think, well, I'm here, I don't know what else I'm going to do, I'm just going to sit here and die. That's, again, I don't know, it's almost like a lazy mentality I see people do. They just resign themselves to either, not want to deal with the threat, or they just want to get killed by it, move on, and do something else. It's like, you got to confront it and think smartly in this game. What that guy should have been doing, that LAV, is driving way past me, or just bailing out and running away, and then trying to flank me, and having his teammates spawn on him, or just getting away from me. There's no way, he stood no chance at all there. Now look at my health right here. 4% there at one point. Now my buddy's out here, whoever this guy is, again, thanks again, buddy, whoever you are. How many people would have bailed out right there and ran for the hills thinking, I'm not going to take my death, No, you go down with the ship here, and it worked out in my benefit there. So, don't underestimate the effectiveness of having an engineer repair your tank, how quickly you can regain your health, and how much an advantage that gives you over an opponent, even if he's got the upper hand on you, because M1 Abrams is a much better tank in comparison to the T90. It does more damage, it has more armor, so, I'm already at a disadvantage there, but if I got an engineer, and I can hit him more than he can hit me, chances are I'm going to win. But I hope that kind of gave you guys some tips. Please do not underestimate the power of the tank. It is by far the most important vehicle in the game. Now, I know it's a nuisance, I don't like them either, but on vehicle maps like this, It is what you need to address anytime you're playing competitively, or if you want to play successfully. You can't be lazy. You gotta address that threat directly. Thanks for watching, guys. Please like the video, subscribe, and I'll have more to come.